in the last 10 years has been a staggering growth for the Adani Group. You have commanded a good execution as far as ports are concerned. Mundra Port is a classic example of that. You have power where you have already put in 4,600 megawatts in Mundra and 3,300 megawatts coming up in Maharashtra going forward. What kind of revenues do you see from non-Gujarat states going forward?
See, we are now also going globally also, our Australia project as well as in Indonesia also our operating mines. And we see in next 10 years times, we'll have a 40 to 50% of our revenue, top line and bottom line will become from the overseas. And whichever basically things in India, Gujarat will be around 25 to 30% and the balance will be the rest of the country.
And recently you did a restructuring where About was taken away, the acquisition was hived off from Adani Ports and SEZ, and you have taken it into a personal company. Has the transaction been completed?
Now the last phase of corporate guarantee transaction thing is pending, which will be over in next 15 days time.
So after that, Adani Ports and SEZ will have no linkages as far as corporate bank guarantees are concerned with About. But what's the update on About? How fast the development is happening? Because promoters were trying to raise some money for the development of About.
See, we have already make a bond and we remove existing lenders and the bond size was $1.2 billion and it was an investment grade rating and we raised basically $1.2 billion and paid back the existing lenders. Now that existing terminal is a 50 million tons and existing miners surrounding to the spot, basically the entire capacity is on take or pay, fully booked. Now that port, now we are expanding 50 million tons to the first phase 85 and 85 to 120 million tons. All approvals, almost we got basically major of the approval for expansion, we already got it. That has been linked with our starting of operation of our mine in Galilee basins. So by 2017-18, that capacity will be in place. So
once that capacity is placed, you will have About Point making profitable thing.
No, About Point even today also is making profit.
Because you booked around $50 million of losses in last fiscal for that.
Yeah, that was because that was a structured finance where the traffic was ramping up.
Okay. So once About Point becomes of critical size in operation and profitability, will you look to merge it back with Adani Port and SEZ?
No, right now we are not thinking because our minority shareholder was not happy when we have taken over these About Point terminals on APSEZ books. And after basically understanding their concerns, we have removed from APSEZ balance sheet to the promoter balance sheet.
So, when you announced this deal, you said that Adani Ports and SEZ will focus on creating port infrastructure on eastern and western coast. You already in the process of bagging Dhamra Port. What is the status on that? By when do you expect the entire transaction to close?
No, that basically is the target. Our target is to close that transaction by latest by April end or 15th of May.
Okay. I was reading a report that you completed 100 million tons of volumes in your ports business, and in the next 4 years you expect that to cross 200 million tons. Where is that growth going to come from, and which all assets are going to bring in that volume?
The container traffic, LNG terminal is going to under construction, coal imports will going to increase. Entire country is a gateway for the entire northwest. So definitely this port has a tremendous potential. And one can see that within 12 years, it has crossed 100 million tons, and in the history of the Indian maritime, this was the first commercial port who has crossed 100 million tons. The number of major port trusts and private port, which has operated since a number of years, before independent, after independent. And so Mundra is the locationally as well as management and focus on to create the facility ahead of demand. That approach basically makes us the country's largest port.
So there will be a good amount of capex which will come in from the group for the port expansion plans?
Now port basically internal generation is also quite substantial, and that will take care of future expansion.
Because you already have a huge debt which is there, and that was one of the reasons why minority shareholders objected to abort point acquisition, because the leverage was going way above and they wanted to deleverage this company.
See, when we are talking, we are generalized at a group level, but when we are talking about the individual company, the gear ratio basically in Adani Port and SEZ is not much high. And including even Dhamra Port expansion, will not have to basically take further leverage. And the major basically debt we have in Adani Power.
Okay. And coming to the power thing, because that's also one of the key crown jewels of the entire group. You already have over 8,000 megawatts of production which is happening. What is the plan for Adani Power going forward?
See, Adani first basically would like to stabilize the existing operations based on the bottom line. And we are quite hopeful that basically this first or second quarter everything will be set right. Then definitely our vision still is there to make it 20,000 megawatt company by 2020.
And where all this capacity will come in?
Even we are going to bid for ultra mega power project also. Plus we have basically 3 locations which site has been cleared for environment and other things, that is in Bhadreshwar, Dahej and Chhindwara.
And so 20,000 megawatts of power based on UMPP which you will be doing. But what about the capex requirements, the funding requirements? Will Adani Power require to raise funds for that?
No, that actually Adani Group has never been a problem of raising the funds. And today basically even promoter is holding the highest number of shares, 75%, which otherwise maximum mandatory you can keep it. So we have basically then as I told that first we want to consolidate our power existing portfolio. Is the country largest private players. By next 1 or 1.5 months it will be 9,200 megawatt will be fully in operational.
I want to come to your last question on the SEZ. When the government came out with an SEZ policy, you were one of the first to make it a port-linked SEZ, and that was a visionary stuff. But government then backtracked on the incentives provided to SEZ, and as a result of which, the entire SEZ policy went for a TZ. Where does the SEZ stand now?
No, SEZ right now we are awaiting environment clearance, and one of the reasons we are not able to push the SEZ at Mundra, which is country's largest SEZ with a very strong infrastructure support. Definitely what you are saying about the taking back the incentives of the SEZ, which was not good in taste. For any government, definitely it is a government prerogative to see that basically incentive to be continue or not. But anything to remove on retrospective manners, that will not give any confidence levels to investors.
Mr. Adani, this is the first election where corporates have been targeted as part of the political campaigning. Corporates have always been on the backside as far as providing support to all political parties, but at the same time the focus of corporates is to ensure that they create infrastructure, create wealth for the society and the shareholders. What is your view on the way corporates are getting targeted, whether your group or another group, by political parties as part of the campaign process?
It is not actually targeting. If you really every time basically and every situation there is a issues which corporate are thinking in one way and political master are thinking another way around. So that is making that basically things has to be clear on the things that both are on the same wavelength.
And this is the first time that corporate India is also supporting Mr. Narendra Modi for the kind of vision he had for Gujarat and whether he is able to replicate the same for India. Do you support that kind of analysis that Mr. Modi will be able to successfully put in that vision for India?
See, according to me, and when I am basically meeting many of our friends in corporate India, they want a strong government, decisive government. They are not aligned with one party or another party.
So you think that NDA government led by Mr. Narendra Modi would be able to be much more decisive government as compared to UPA 2?
I don't know about how it will going to function when he become a prime minister, but at
But
least
having seen his style of
he has
function,
showed basically in Gujarat, and where he never allowed any nonsense. He was very decisive. He played the balls through the policies, and there was no interference for any or operations.
Mr. Adani, thank you very much for the candid interview. Thank you very much.